think that like the Dak Prescott contract situation is also really interesting, where you have someone just sitting here in what could be their last year on their current team, someone who clearly has a whole lot of value in a way where someone might be trying to get their hands on him if you were to dangle him on the trade market. So like, it's always been interesting to me when teams just decide to do nothing, kind of. We're gonna play this out.
Well, the Cowboys don't take care of their business. Like everybody else, the Eagles have had a competitive advantage since Andy Reid was running the team, signing guys as early as possible. And even if you made a mistake, the contract is structured to where you're not going to be in cap hell for years because you signed them early and you had an advantageous structure. And there's guys who, the moment they're eligible to get a bunch of money are extremely happy to get money and will exchange a handful of things in the contract for that money, right? And the Cowboys have never learned a lesson on that, ever. They don't handle their business. They wait until the last second. And your colleague Jory was on my show earlier today, and I was thinking about it almost out loud, and I wish I'd put more thought into it, but I'm just a terrible pundit and content creator. But no, it was that I think what's going to happen is the Cowboys, who don't plan for anything, I think the Cowboys are not prepared for the salaries and the contract structure that's going to get thrown at Dak Prescott in 10 months? They're not prepared for it. Right. They're not doing the modeling. They're not understanding what true free agency can look like for Dak Prescott. Remember what it looked like for Kirk Cousins? Yeah. Imagine Dak Prescott where the perception and the play is a lot better. So I'm thinking, Charles, the only guard the Cowboys have against that, and I'm talking someone offering $70 million a year, right? Like, I don't know, like an owner that's desperate. The only guard against that is the teams that were likely to do that currently have a plan at quarterback. Mm-hmm. Currently, whether that's they've used a first-round pick on it recently, where they've already done it and they don't have the cap space. That's the only thing keeping the Dallas Cowboys from just getting completely clocked in free agency next year. And I don't know where that goes. I don't know, like the Raiders might be desperate, but Mark Davis is not that kind of owner. David Tepper already is committed to Bryce Young, and I don't know if he wants to do something like that, and whether or not Dak would even want to go to the Panthers. What are the Titans trying to do? Like, it's that kind of thing where, the Commanders just spent the second overall pick on a quarterback, so they're not going to try to do that with make a splash. It's a totally different thing, but I just think that that's the contract I look at, that in theory, if something broke differently, could literally change everything about how we pay football players.
I'm going to use a term here that I know people are going to object to, but I don't mean it in like the most standard American definition. But when you talk about like wage suppression or the idea of it, do people have no idea how much these guys are actually worth because they never hit
wage theft?
Wage theft. Okay, right. For someone who's making $50 million a year. Okay, it sounds crazy.
I'm joking.
Yeah. These guys never hit the open market. If Dak Prescott actually walked into free agency, people will be appalled by the final contract figure that he could get because teams are actually bidding against each other instead of just, working within the construct of a CBA that lets them have control of guys for a long time.
And it's kind of random how things move forward. So like the franchise tag is the best bargaining chip in the history of sports. And the owners have it, and they will never give it up. And if people are saying, "Oh, they should trade the 18th game for the franchise tag." Non-starter. You were going to lose like 2 OTA days instead. How about that? And so that's just how the owners view it. And the reason is they don't want a Dak Prescott hitting free agency. And once we see it, but then that's how it goes. Like in positions, it's almost random. Like the receiver market didn't move for years. And a lot of that's because with the tight ends, a Rob Gronkowski takes a little less than we thought he would, or didn't push it a year into free agency or towards free agency, and all of a sudden everybody's paid less than Gronk. It's that kind of thing. And so you need a player to, I know we overuse the term reset the market. You need a player to reset the market, and this would be resetting the market.